takes out for.
And it could be weeks, could be months, could even be more than that. Jane Hume, good morning to you. So do you suspect, mirroring Jim Chalmers' comments there, that there will be extraordinary volatility over the next few months, which could cloud the government's budget planning?
Pete, there's no doubt that Australians are on the edges of their seat right now. When they drive past the Bowser each day and see those rising fuel prices, they know that that's going to hit their hip pocket, which was already in strife. Let's face it, we had a homegrown inflation problem that wasn't appropriately dealt with by this government before the troubles in the Middle East even began. Now, Jim Chalmers will point overseas and say that that's going to be the cause of inflation, but we know that that isn't the case. This is a government that's failed to deal with its homegrown problem. The increase in fuel prices caused by the troubles in the Middle East are only going to make this problem worse. If the government had have dealt with inflation earlier, then Australians wouldn't be feeling the pinch that they're going to inevitably feel now.
So are you expecting an oil price-driven rate rise tomorrow?
Well, I'm not going to preempt the RBA's decision. They did say at the last meeting that they weren't going to necessarily wait for the next round of inflation data before making a decision. Clearly, this is an extraneous factor that they are going to have to consider. I think Australians will be hoping and praying that the RBA has some data, access to data that gives them some comfort that these fuel price rises are not necessarily going to flow through to persistently high inflation that would cause a rate rise, but I'm not holding my breath.
Our fuel stocks have been at this dangerously low level for a long time now, and Angus Taylor was the one who signed off on a plan to hold most of it in the United States. Was that a mistake?
Well, indeed, when that decision was made, the IEA, when it asked its global signatories to release fuel supplies to maintain prices after Russia invaded the Ukraine, those fuel stocks that were held overseas were exactly what was released by Australia, which is why we maintained fuel prices here far more than any other country. That's a good thing. Unfortunately, that doesn't exist right now. What we saw from Chris Bowen last week was, first of all, denial that there was a problem that ever existed. Then he blamed consumers for panic buying, filling up jerry cans and filling up their cars, which of course is the logical thing to do when you know that fuel prices are going to rise. And then finally, at the end of the week, he announced a national crisis and released more fuel reserves. Now, we are very pleased that the standard of fuel has been lowered to allow for more people to put petrol in their cars. However, that's cold comfort to those farmers and manufacturers that rely on diesel fuels, for which there has been no decision made. Clearly, Chris Bowen is a man without a plan, and Australians are going to pay the price. They'll pay the price at the Bowser, but they'll also pay the price through increased cost of food, increased cost of goods, and increased cost of transport that rely on that diesel fuel price.
Would you consider re-establishing more refineries onshore?
Well, that's a decision for the government. They haven't announced that yet.
Is that something that you would
that's
support,
something that we... Sovereign capability, you know, is at the front and centre of a coalition agenda. Andrew Hastie has been speaking about this for a considerable period of time. Sometimes these events are the wake-up call that Australia needs.
So is that a roundabout way of saying, yes, we should have more than the 2 refineries here? Would you like to see that as part of your suite of policies?
I'd certainly like to see a proposal on that, understand what it costs and understand what the benefits are. But we know that productivity in this country has been falling for a considerable period of time and indeed gone backwards under this government. If we're going to have a thriving manufacturing industry, if we're going to have an economy that relies on fuel, that continues to tick over even when there are shocks overseas, well, then contingencies need to be made.
Jane, do you feel like it's a matter of time before One Nation starts leading in the polls?
Well, I think One Nation have already shown that their primary has increased quite dramatically in an extremely short period of time. I can understand why that would happen. You know, people are doing it tough right now. They are rightly aggrieved when they see their standard of living go backwards, when they see their mortgages cost around over $20,000 more than they did just 4 years ago, when they see a government that is more intent on its own agenda than the agenda of everyday Australians, I can understand why they're frustrated with major parties and they're looking to park their votes elsewhere. Now, the leadership of the Liberal Party has only changed in the last month. Indeed, the leadership of the National Party has only changed in the last week. But I don't think that Australians doubt that the lineup that the coalition has presented in our front bench and the strength of our back bench demonstrates that we are ready to take the fight right up to Labor and indeed One Nation as well. Starting with the Farrer by-election, I was very pleased to see yesterday that we announced our new candidate, Reza Batowski. She is going to be a terrific candidate up there. She will be very competitive to One Nation. She is a community lawyer. She's a Albury born and bred, been there for more than 27 years. She's been a community lawyer up there on Albury Council and has been fighting on the Murray-Darling Association for water security for many years. So she's very well known in her community and has represented them already as a community lawyer.
Just one more point on One Nation, and I guess we're going to start to find out if it's real or not with the South Australian election and then the by-election as well. But given this latest Resolve poll, and One Nation is stripping votes not just from the coalition but also Labor as well, so it's kind of proving that perhaps the two-party system here in Australia is dying. Do you think, looking down the track, that governments might well be elected by odd-ish coalitions like what we've seen in Germany?
Pete, rumours of the coalition's demise are greatly exaggerated. I think that Australians will eventually, when they get to the ballot box, understand that the two parties of government, whether it be Labor or the coalition, are the ones that can actually deliver on promises rather than simply deliver on slogans.
OK. Jane Hume, thanks for your time. We'll chat to you again soon. Let's get some weather now.